What is up, guys? Welcome back to another book review. Today I am taking on The Cloisters by Kathy Hayes. I've never been quite sure how to pronounce it all through going through the book. Why did I buy this book? This is Kathy Hayes' debut novel, so obviously I've never heard of her. It was the cover. I grabbed the cover. It had kind of an Art Deco type, Gothic type look, so I'm like, okay, interested. I love Great Gatsby. I grabbed the book. Solid reviews. As an author myself, I can tell that you send these to people specifically to get these reviews, but that's okay. Go to the inside. Let's read the inlet, shall we? I'm going to read it to you. Behind the closed doors of the Cloisters, shocking secrets and a mysterious deck of tarot cards spark a deadly, powerful game within a close-knit group of researchers. When Anne Stillwell arrives in New York City, she expects to spend her summer working at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Instead, she finds herself assigned to the Cloisters, a Gothic museum and garden renowned for its collection of medieval art and its enigmatic researchers, Patrick Rowland, the charismatic curator specializing in the history of tarot, Rachel Mondre, Patrick's brilliant curator associate, and Leo Bitberg, the gardener charged with cultivating the museum's poisonous plants. Eager to escape her troubled path in rural Washington, Anne is happy to indulge the researchers' more outlandish theories, only to find that their fascination with ancient divination runs deeper than academic obsession. Patrick is determined to prove that medieval tarot holds the key to accurately telling the future. When Anne discovers a breakthrough in the form of a cryptic deck of 15th century tarot cards, she finds herself at the center of a dangerous game of power, seduction, and ambition. As their circle reaches its breaking point, Anne must decide if the tarot cards can teach her not only about the past, but also about her future. Deeply researched, lushly told, and thrillingly paced, The Cloisters explores the shimmering line between what is real and what is imagined, the magical melding of the modern and the arcane, and the power we have to defy what is written in the stars and to shape our own fates. So, if you read that, you go, wow. Wow. Especially in the days of TikTok, book talk. I think we all get tarot card readings. I think, most of us have probably gone down that hole at one point. So I go, okay, Kathy Hayes, I'm in. I start reading the book. And as in the inlet, immediately I start to go, we're using unnecessary words here. We're trying to set a theme. We're trying to set a tone of dark Gothic meeting the theme of the Met and the Cloisters. These are real places. You can Google them. You can see them. So let's start there. I want to be a little easy because this is Kathy Hayes' first novel, and I would like to see more work from Kathy Hayes. I did not enjoy this book. The biggest reason is most of the book could have been eliminated word count wise by just not trying so hard to set the scene. I feel like on every other page you were reading, it's dark, luscious, green, elegant leaves down the cascading accents of crown moldings with elegant wooden accents in the curvatures of each perfectly crown. You're like, okay, we get it. It's an old, dark Gothic library. We got it. Okay? So then for the characters, Anne Stillwell, she lost her father in a hit-and-run accident, but that's really it. Her and her mother aren't super close, but they're not super distant either. There's not a lot of character building going on for Anne Stillwell. She's willing to take this job at the Met, even though she doesn't really care about it. The book starts really by her showing up first day at the Met and them going, "We don't need you." This guy Patrick randomly bursts in and goes, "I'm taking her to the Cloisters." Like he knows who she is, and the fact that she has this odd kind of niche talent of she can translate old text. She can read 7 languages because her and her dad did it as like a hobby. He was a janitor at a college. They all worked for the college that she went to of Whitman. Her mom did, her dad did. And in his spare time, he would translate old texts. So she ends up working at the Cloisters, which, as you heard, is an old like library research archive place of old medieval like arts and catalogs and books and things. And he's trying to prove that tarot was used for divination or divination or for the divine, however you would say that. Which people are becoming more popular with today. Tarot readings, twin flames, stuff like that. People have heard about it and they listen to tarots. They use astrology more today. It's still kind of one of those things where, yeah, science has never been able to really disprove it, and they've never been able to prove it really either. So being on the search for the divine, such as Patrick was in this book, I can relate to that. I think we all kind of can. Then you have the character of Rachel. So if you know about me and you know about my reviews, I do spoil the plots of these books. I'm going to tell you everything, and I'm going to tell you what I thought about the book. Rachel was a researcher that had already worked at the Cloisters, had immediately kind of befriended Anne and kind of took her under her wing, and wanted to see her succeed. You could really tell that. She always seemed to have her best interest at heart, but there was obviously some sort of complicated relationship going on between Rachel and Patrick. Everyone thought they were sleeping together. They would disappear for random times, people thought they were sleeping together. There was a gardener by the name of Leo who was always kind of weird around Rachel. They made it seem like maybe they had a past, but they just never talked about each other. Rachel wouldn't talk about Patrick. She wouldn't talk about Leo. She wouldn't really talk about anything. Both of Rachel's parents died in a boating accident. Her former roommate died. She had killed herself, and this all comes out later in the book. So throughout the book, you just think Rachel's kind of this dark, quiet character. She's good at her job. You're supposed to understand that she's pretty and people are attracted to her, but she's more of a quiet, powerful figure who doesn't let anyone close to her. So Anne and Leo, the gardener, end up hitting things off after they kind of make it seem like Anne is going to have a thing for Patrick. So right there, you get kind of confused. She's like, she's just kind of falling for anyone. She's showing her lust and attraction for Patrick, but then the second Leo shows interest, she pushes it over there. So you're like, okay. So her and Leo get close. He tells her that he's taking plants out of the Cloisters and selling them on the side for money. Sure, it's illegal, but no harm, no foul. They let it go. Well, they start doing these tarot card readings at night in the library of the Cloisters, and Patrick is leading it. Well, later on in the book, they do one, and I'm skimming through because nothing really happens. You read like 200 pages of the same thing over and over. The setting of the Cloisters, Rachel's being off-putting. Patrick really wants to find this deck to complete the original old school tarot deck. But like, guys, that's it. Then the final thing comes to be, they're doing this final tarot reading where now Rachel and Patrick and Leo are in there, where you're kind of like, what the fuck is Leo doing here? He's not supposed to be around this. Him being the gardener, he was dealing with some of the old medieval plants that they had actually used as like poisons and hallucinogenics. So he concocted up 3 or 4 individual baggies for Patrick, Anne, and Rachel. 3. Leo didn't do it. And they did this drug, and they were supposed to do the tarot reading that would like push them closer to the divine. Okay? So they do it. Leo ends up taking Anne away from the tarot reading because she gets all fucked up on the drugs. He tries to feed her some cake. She kind of blacks out, comes to the next morning. She's in Leo's house. They had slept together, which they were kind of seeing each other, so that wasn't weird. She gets herself up, gets herself ready, goes into the Cloisters, sees Patrick's feet on the ground, kind of bumping on the ground. Walks in. Rachel's giving him CPR, trying to save him. He died. He had been poisoned by one of the drugs that they had taken the night prior. It had been like an overdose of it. So it was ruled a murder. And then it goes through trying to find out who murdered Patrick. So then they kind of abandon the tarot thing. Patrick dies. They come to this big revelation that Anne found a fake card. One had been like, I don't know if you guys remember Pokemon cards back in the day, but if you ever got fake ones, they used to put stickers or even like things of paint, and they would literally like paint the design very, very well onto them, but you could tell when one was a fake. She found one that way, and she had found like an original, very important tarot card that would have solved the question that they had all been trying to solve, which was tarot used for the divine back in like the medieval times? And it was not just a card game, as it was believed at the time. So then Anne ends up turning in Leo, going, he steals. They end up finding out he was stealing pieces of art and stuff like that from the Cloisters. She turns him in, going, well, if he can steal, maybe he accidentally killed or murdered, Patrick. That comes out not to be the case, and it finds out that Rachel did it. And she did it because she thought that once Patrick got what he wanted, they were going to be fired. So Rachel killed him because he kept trying to date her. She said no, and she thought because she kept saying no that eventually he was just going to get rid of her. So it comes out that Rachel's the one that put too much of the poison in his dose, killed him, and she gets off scot-free. Anne doesn't say anything. Leo doesn't say anything. They all just go on about their lives like nothing happened. And then they all separate. Anne ends up back working at the Cloisters. Rachel moves on somewhere else, and Leo ends up in jail for a little while, for like a couple months, for grand larceny. But he tries to get her back at the end. He's like, hey, if you still want to grab lunch or something sometime. She's like, I don't know. And then the book ends. That's it. So as far as storytelling goes, not a big fan. As far as writing a theme and setting a setting goes, you can do that. Maybe less of that in the future. As far as marketing goes, you did a good job. Cover looks great. Readability was a little tough. I wanted to put it down a lot. When you look at the actual text of the book, it's a pretty easy read. Text is big, spacing is good. I like that. I would give this like a 2 out of 5 stars. Not a huge fan. Sorry. Maybe we'll see you next one. Let me know what you guys think. See you in the next video.